integers, opposites, and absolute value. Most students are introduced to absolute value with the number line. And we recognize that instead of always going forward, that we can go backwards. Or instead of the temperature being greater than 0, it may be less than 0. And so we want to be able to express values in two different directions from 0. A positive direction, increasing, and a negative direction, decreasing. And so with our number line, take out a little squirrel here, and my squirrel may go forward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units, or my squirrel may go backwards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. I may consider this forward, or positive, or maybe to the right, and I can consider this backwards, negative, or to the left. And so the opposite of going forward, those 5 steps, would be going backwards, those 5 steps. And so for every number, we have an opposite. So 5 steps forward has an opposite, and that would be called negative 5. Now if we see negative numbers where the negative sign is instead of a sign, a factor, we could have negative 5 be negative 1 times 5. And positive 5 would be the factor pair 1 times 5. So this is pretty convenient when we do opposites of numbers. The opposite of 5 would be negative 5. And the opposite of negative 5 would be positive 5. So taking 5 and multiplying by a negative 1 makes it negative 5. And if I took that negative 5 and multiplied it by a negative 1, it would have the opposite sign of being negative 5. And that would become positive 5. Instead of my squirrel, maybe I've got a car. And my car could go to the east, or my car could go to the west. And so my car goes 5 miles east, or my car goes 5 miles west. My car goes either 5, or my car goes negative 5. Now sometimes we're not concerned with the direction. We're just concerned with the magnitude, the overall distance, without any regard to whether it was east or west, whether it was backwards or forward, negative or positive, left or right. We just care about the magnitude, the overall size. And that's where absolute value comes in. And so we're looking at the value of the number without regard for its direction or its sign. So if we treat 5 as a factor pair of 1 times 5, the absolute value of 5, we strip away the sign, or in this case the 1, and we're left with 5. The same thing goes with negative 5. Those absolute value bars tell us to ignore the sign, or in this case, to ignore that negative 1 as a factor. So absolute value of negative 5, we strip away the negative 1, we strip away the sign, and we get 5. So, to review, every number has an opposite. If I switch over here to 7, I treat 7 as a factor pair, 1 times 7. The opposite of 7 is negative 7. The absolute value of negative 7 is 7. If I see 7 as a product, 1 times 7, the absolute value of 7 is still 7. The absolute value bars remove the sign, whether positive or negative.